From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more Corner Pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Coming up on today's show, Winning Monday. Talking about a dub, Florida State's first season opening win since 2016. We'll talk all about it here on Wake Up Warchant. Presenting sponsor is the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Hamburger Monday. Lunch special, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Go build your own burger. Treat yourself to it. Hit the QR code on your screen or go to cptallybar.com. That's the website for the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Subscribe to our website, warchant.com, which only costs $1. Again, big game Sunday, LSU. Do you want to be a fan later? It's only $1. Why even risk it? Be a fan now. Subscribe to warchant.com. 5-star rating and review. Thumbs up. I think we got all of it out the way. Over-under winner has been announced. It's R. Williams. Hopefully they listen to this podcast. Otherwise, whatever. Congratulations. We had over 492 submissions. Wow. We'll do this every week, handing out $50 from our friends at Garnet and Gold, the only independently, locally owned and operated Florida State apparel store. Florida State fans, the entire sea level over there, so support them as well. Support Corey Clark and his endeavors as well. He's here, everybody. Give it up. Corey Clark.
Hey, thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. A big 1-0 start to the year, Aslan. We've never had one of these, you and I.
No.
This is our first 1-0 show that we've ever had.
And I don't even know how many times we've had Florida State above 500. I think
once. I think in maybe 19. I think they were 3-2 maybe.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap. And that's the end of all the good times we've had on this show. So it's good to talk about an actual win and an emphatic win at that.
Let's get to it then, man. 47-7 over Duquesne. Perhaps, let's go ahead, I guess, and maybe qualify it a little bit. Maybe they were a little bit closer to UMass than Jacksonville State, or is Florida State maybe that much better? We'll kind of get to the bottom of that later on the show. But 47-7 win over Duquesne. Offensively, that run game looked very impressive. Again, we don't really know exactly what this level of competition was. But, man, like Trey Benson was breaking tackles, like not arm tackles, like 200-pound dudes slung on his body. He was just shaking them off, breaking the tackle. So that was really good to see. I mean, I thought I was trying to speak into existence, Corey, that this would be maybe like a 51-49 pass option or, pass split team, because I think they were something like 56 to 44 last year. But I don't know how much of it was just the fact that you're playing Duquesne. You just want to keep the clock running, and if they can't stop you run the ball, you're just going to keep doing it. How impressed were you with the run game?
Yeah, I mean, again, it is hard to quantify how good they were because of the competition, but you don't want to dismiss it. I mean, they had 300-yard rushers for the first time in school history, and they played a lot of Duquesne-esque teams in the history of this program. So doing that was impressive, and I thought all three running backs had some really nice moments. With Trey Benson, the only thing I worry about a little bit, and I was very, very impressed with him. Again, man, remember that guy had 22 yards in his career, and he had double that on one run. It's just from, and that, the last time he scored a touchdown that mattered was in high school, like 3 years ago. So for him to have a day like that, I think is important for him moving forward. But I also don't know how that's going to translate to FBS competition.
It's still 1AA to me, Corey. It's always
going to be 1AA to me, man. Yeah. It's always going to be. I don't like that FCS nonsense. But because I don't know how easy he's going to just shrug off tacklers from LSU and Clemson and NC State and even Georgia Tech and people like that. It was very impressive how hard he ran and how hard he is to bring down. But the things he was doing against Duquesne defenders, that's not going to really probably be the same thing he's doing in ACC games. My point being that there were a couple times where I thought, and I'm being very nitpicky here because I thought he was good, where maybe I didn't think he even took the right hole or he didn't hit it as hard as I would have liked him to. But because he was just so physically superior to the guys trying to tackle him.
Well, his first carry, I think, that first carry was like a third down, and he was going to get stopped for a 2-yard loss because he went the wrong way. But he broke all the tackles and got a first down.
Yeah, and leaned forward. And there were a couple other times where I thought he went outside where he broke off like 2 tackles in the backfield. because he went backwards a little bit and went to the left when maybe the hole, hit a little harder. Don't bounce everything outside. But as the game wore on, I got more and more impressed with his vision and the way he was hitting the hole, and not just with his brute strength. We knew the brute strength was there, and that was very impressive. I thought Toafili looked good again, man. I just that move he had in the hole where he let the guy just grasping for air. That looked like another number 9 in Florida State history. It's all I'm saying. Looked like another dude that used to wear 9 around 22, 23 years ago around here. So that was cool to see. And then I thought Trayshawn was the best of the 3. Yeah.
All that said,
that being said, I thought they were all good. Like, they were all very, very good, and they're complementary guys. I don't think they're going to whittle it down and have a 2-man rotation. I do foresee them probably rotating those 3 guys in a good bit. So, yeah, man, I thought the running game was good. I thought the offensive line did what it needed to do. It had so many different combinations it was hard to keep up with, but they got a lot of guys, a lot of reps at a number of different positions. So in that regard, you accomplished everything you wanted, and you physically dominated the line of scrimmage, which you better against Duquesne.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line did do their job. We'll maybe talk a little bit about what it means, who's going to play center, what happens. We'll hopefully get an injury update from Mike Norvell when we speak to him later today at 11:30 a.m. for his weekly press conference. But I think that was probably the best part, was that they got past the first level pretty much no problem, these running backs. And then from there, they did a lot on their own. These weren't – not every yard was schemed up that the run game got, right, Corey? This was a lot of physical sort of supremacy and just good agility and things like that to see out of this backfield. And then again, man, the offensive line I thought blocked quite well. I was doing the watch through with Dominic Robinson, and as soon as Dylan Gibbons moved to center, I was like, oh, this is cool to see them move to this option. This was something that we had seen. We kind of hinted at here on the podcast a week or so ago about trying some other combinations once Maurice wasn't going to be in the picture here in the immediate term. Like, I thought they looked – I liked the look of, like, Dylan Gibbons at center and then Turntine at one of your guard spots. I mean, that's a huge offensive line. You go left to right, you go Robert Scott, Demetri Emanuel, Dylan Gibbons, Justin Turntine, and then Bless Harris. And that's a large, impressive offensive line. But apparently Darius got banged up again. We don't know the full extent of it. But did you notice like a drop off or anything that changed with Florida State when Darius left the game, Corey?
Well, no. I mean, they just kept scoring touchdowns and running up and down the field. No, I didn't notice that. There were a couple iffy snaps throughout the game, but I thought Tate and we'll get to Tate in a second, folks, but I thought Tate and Jordan did a good job of fielding balls that were in the dirt, but for the most part, I thought the snapping was okay. And yeah, it is intriguing to think of the interior of your line being Turntine, Gibbons, and Emmanuel. Like, that's a big interior offensive line. That's a Georgia-esque interior. I'm not saying talent-wise, but size-wise. That is a big interior of your line. The problem is what are you now on your 4th-string center? I mean, if Darius Washington didn't play, he played. I don't think he played after Johnny Wilson played. Like, I think they both came out on the same play, and I don't remember him going back in the game. And they wouldn't just. I know they probably want to give all those guys snaps as the game wore on, but Darius Washington hasn't done enough in a game to just be like, okay, Darius, you proved you can play center. Go take the rest of the night off. Like, something happened. We don't know what.
Let me see here. He got 18 reps. He got 18 snaps. So, and then Johnny had 16. So pretty darn close.
Yeah, right. So we might not know what Darius's injury is. I would guess we probably won't. But if he can't go, it's not just that. Yeah, I think that starting 5 is fine. But man, now all of a sudden you were scraping the bottom of your depth. You're already down 2 centers. We don't know when Maurice is going to come back. That won't be announced. And now you might be down 3 centers. And one of those guys, Darius Washington, is a backup at multiple positions. So that's what concerns you if Darius can't play, man. Is like, man, now you got 5 guys and that's it. When a week ago you had 8. So that's a little, or 2 weeks ago, I guess. That's a little problematic. But overall, yeah, man, I thought Gibbons looked good at center, honestly. And Turntine apparently had the highest grade in PFF of any of the linemen that played.
Offensively, overall, that is correct. I know Robert Scott did, 87.1 overall. Pass blocking, Turntine was 86.5, which was the highest of anybody point blank, whether it's a tight end, running back, anybody.
There you go.
So
there you go, Jazz.
That's what I'm saying. When you talk about them scraping the bottom of the barrel with their depth, it's like, well, man, they're moving some of these pieces around, and this is the whole point. Like, they have good kind of top-end depth. They haven't gone, like, to me, bottom of the barrel, and I know you're saying you're trying to mix a little bit of hyperbole here, but to me that would be like having to put Kanaya Charlton out there or Julian Armello.
I mean, what I was saying is like
panicking.
It's when 3 weeks ago you could have had the starting offensive line that you just had in that game, and then your backups are
Maurice Smith and Darius Washington swinging anywhere else.
And Caden Lyles.
Yeah.
All three of those guys one guy's definitely out for the year, and two other guys, you don't know when they're coming back all of a sudden. Like, that's why you felt so good about the depth, because you did have 9, and you throw Estes into the mix, you have 9 guys that you can count on. I guess Schrader, too, maybe they feel like he's part of it now. He did play. He got 20 snaps at center, I think.
Yeah, he didn't grade all that well. He was third to last overall, 33 out of 35 players.
Okay, so not great. But anyway, you felt good about 9 guys if you include Estes, and now you're down to 6. But for now, again, Darius Washington might be out there at practice on Monday and hopping around and
or Tuesday. They do a Sunday walkthrough and then Monday
that's right.
Press conference.
Yeah. So that maybe that happens, but that's my biggest concern if Darius is down. It's not necessarily that starting 5, but man, it's football. What happens if your guard gets banged up? Who comes in now? What do you do? How do you mix and match this? Are you going to have to play David Stickle at center so you can move Gibbons? I mean, now all of a sudden, and you're playing LSU. Like, it can get real dicey real quick. That's what I meant. Not like that Kanaya Charlton can't play or these guys won't be good players. But the guys you were counting on 3 weeks ago, you had a rotation of 9 or 10 guys. Well, that's already been cut in a third, maybe. That's a little concerning. And just bad luck, man. It's just frustrating. Just like Johnny Wilson with the ankle thing, man. Like, that's just frustrating. I wanted him to have a big game. That was a great catch. It was a big catch. But I wanted him to score a touchdown. I wanted him to get 40 plays, and he got, what'd you say, 16? And he got 2 balls thrown to him. I just, you kind of wanted a little more out of Johnny Wilson, I think, after the camp he had. But hopefully it's just precautionary, and he'll be good to go Sunday.
Yeah, it seems like, I don't know, man, like Robert Scott and Dylan Gibbons might be on the same level as Jordan Travis in terms of, like, indispensability to this team right now. Like, if either of those guys go down, then you start getting into some problems, which underscores your point about you being at the bottom of the barrel with your depth because, if those guys go down, there's not a lot of backup plans. But you guys are out there. You've made it through the entire camp, so you should be fine. Your bones are seasoned. They are calcified. They're ready to go.
Well, and again, it's like, what's the drop-off from Dylan Gibbons to his backup now?
All right.
If, say, Darius Washington isn't a back. Yeah, it's similar now, in my opinion, because of what we saw Saturday night, the drop-off between first-string quarterback and second-string quarterback. That's why we talk about indispensability. Like, it would be a big loss if you lost Robert Scott, Dylan, well, really any of those guys now, man, because nobody else has played. Somebody's going to have to be thrown in the fire, and you'd have to be thrown in the fire in the Superdome against LSU.
Well, you mentioned Johnny. That would have been a good time to segue to the passing offense, so let's get to it. Jordan Travis, his passing grade on Pro Football Focus was one of the over-unders from the Williams Sportsbook. I think, 84.9 or something. I didn't even have to wait for the grades to come out. I'm like, he hit the over. 92.9. From Jordan Travis. Very efficient, 11 of 15, if I'm not mistaken, on the night, passing, 207 yards. Didn't get a touchdown in the end zone, but it wasn't his fault. Johnny, make that catch, please.
An overall grade of 93, huh?
Yeah.
For Jordan Travis. That's great, yeah.
Very great. Very efficient night out of Jordan, and then, starts off the second half, moves the team down the field, and then grabs a ball cap, which is what you want to see. So, very good from him. Johnny, though, again, 2 balls thrown his way, drops a touchdown. And there was a glare on the television I was watching at the top of Hotel Indigo. I was like, oh, yeah, there we go. We're talking about Johnny, D-Rob, and I just got a touchdown. And D-Rob's like, nah, man, he dropped it. I'm like, But he bounces back and catches a 51-yard catch. We saw Micah Pittman show what he's all about. Kentron Portier, a guy that you had on your preseason top 40 that I don't think nobody else had. You had him at 33 on yours. Nobody else had him.
There you go. You're welcome, Tron. You're welcome, buddy. I believe in you.
Not a fan later, Corey Clark.
Yep.
I was on the smash for about 5 minutes because Jeff had some technical difficulties, but he was able to kind of iron that thing out. And he said that he thinks going to this LSU game, this is going to have to be Jordan's time to shine. He thinks that they might have to rely on the pass game to get past LSU. And I don't know how much we saw Saturday makes us think that can happen on Sunday. But if you've got Johnny healthy, if Micah can be what we think he is and kind of the way he played a little bit in that sort of glimpse that we got of him Saturday, is that a fool's errand, or is that maybe the way you'll have to get it done with the way Florida State and LSU are going to match up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to depend on how they defend him. I think they're going to defend him much like Notre Dame did last year. I think Brian Kelly wants to make darn sure that Jordan Travis doesn't beat him with their legs, and he didn't last year. Remember, he only had the one run, and that was right before he came out of the game. He got his helmet knocked off. That was the only time he had to run for more than like 5 yards in that game, I think. He did have a rushing touchdown, but still, he didn't. The plays he made in the Notre Dame game were mainly his right arm. He hit Ja'Kai Douglas for a long pass. He hit Parchment for a touchdown. Like, he made some plays in the air, but not enough, which was why you were behind by 10 points in the fourth quarter. Well, I guess when Mackenzie Milton came in the game. But yeah, man, I didn't see anything on Saturday that made me think that Jordan Travis isn't ready for this moment. He looked as sharp as he did at any time last season. Again, it's Duquesne though, but 11 out of 15, I would say. One bad ball maybe? One or two bad balls, and it looked like the one he threw in the end zone to Portier. He was like, Travis was like smiling, looking at the sideline like he couldn't understand what Kentron had just run. Like he was throwing to another spot and Kentron read it wrong or something. It just didn't look like they were on the same page necessarily, which you can understand. It's the first game, and it's with a guy he probably doesn't work with a lot. But other than that, I thought he looked solid. In fact, I thought maybe his best throw of the night was that crossing route to Kentron in the first half, where it was a pretty high throw, but it was thrown where Kentron could catch it, and it was on time, and it was in rhythm, and it was the middle of the field.
Yeah.
I love seeing that stuff, man. I just love it. I think he had another one to Deuce, too, like that. Middle of the field on a crossing route, hitting him in stride. I thought Deuce looked good. Didn't make any spectacular or special plays, but you see he's turned into a wide receiver, man. Like, he didn't drop anything. So, yeah, it just the whole thing is a bummer that Johnny Wilson got hurt. Because, again, I would have liked to seen a set with Johnny Wilson and Deuce Spann and Michael Pittman all on the field together and all on the field for a drive, and they all get passes, and let's see what happened. They didn't take a shot with Deuce. I don't know if they're saving that. I would have shown that. I would have liked to have seen that. But then Portier made a nice big catch down the middle of the field, and so did Johnny Wilson. So they did take shots. But I would have liked a little more, because I just think they're the two wild cards the whole season, man. I think Deuce Spann and Johnny Wilson are the two wild cards of the whole season where they can turn a average offense into a good offense, maybe a very good offense, if those guys are as good as we think they can be. And they just didn't get really a ton of at-bats in that game.
It was I know, but overall though, like it was good to see Johnny make the one. The drop was like, oh boy. But again, it's Duquesne, so I don't know.
Did they give him a drop on PFF? I was wondering if they give. I thought because in the stat sheet they gave that kid a PBU, which wouldn't count as a drop.
I guess maybe I shouldn't say that because again there was a glare on my screen here. No, they didn't. One drop.
Yeah, it was a pass breakup. Now here's the thing, folks.
Only one drop. And it was credit Cam McDonald.
Yeah, so I didn't think it was a drop either. It's also a catch he's made 100 times in preseason. Like it was thrown hard, high. Not probably high enough when he's 6'7". It was helmet high. Maybe get it up a little higher where the kid can't even break it up. But have strong hands and catch that through contact. And he didn't. They gave the kid it looked to me like the kid kind of ripped it out, but it might also slip through his hands. Plus the windows were foggy in the press box, so we saw half the game. So who knows what even happened on the field on Saturday night. But rewatching that play, I couldn't tell if it was a PBU or a drop. Either way, you can't let the 5'10" corner from Duquesne rip the ball away from you at the end zone. And that's something that he'll learn from, you hope, because it's also something he's been making those catches against a lot better players than that kid. But yeah, I did think it was really nice and important for him to get a 50-yard catch, I think on the next series.
Yeah.
Like just get inside position on that guy. And that's the beauty, folks. That's the beauty when you throw to somebody like Johnny Wilson. That wasn't a perfect throw. Didn't have to be a perfect throw. No. When he gets inside position and there's no safety help, you lob it up there. He is either going to get interfered with and tackled, or he's going to catch it. I guess he could drop it too, but he's going to have a chance to make a play, and you don't have to make a precision throw into a tiny window of a 5'9" receiver. This kid has the window of like a
cathedral. I
was going to say the Rain Man suite. You remember that window in Rain Man that they got in the suite, and they put the bed up against it? That's a 35-year-old movie reference for you folks. You're welcome.
You make a lot of Rain Man references. I feel like
I love that movie, man. It's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
So that was cool to see. Is that Deuce Spann has a radius like that, catch radius like that. Johnny Wilson has the biggest one probably in the country, where you don't have to be perfect on those throws down the middle of the field. That said, I thought Jordan played really well. I would have liked him to get a couple touchdown passes, just for stats purposes, I guess. But either way, I thought he played really well, looked smooth, looked in control, and the other guy did not.
We'll speak about the other guy. We'll bundle that with our bad opinions of what happened on Saturday later on in the program. But right now, let's talk about our good friends over at mybookie.ag. It is winning season. It has officially returned. NFL preseason is live, and there are plenty of opportunities to win at MyBookie, whether you're a season bettor or a first-timer. All you got to do is sign up at MyBookie to get the most out of your money. Use that promo code WARCHANT on your first deposit. You'll instantly double your money with MyBookie. So if you put $100 in there, you'll have $200 to play around with. And it's a huge weekend of games. Bet on team win totals. You can predict a Super Bowl winner if you want to go pro. Or you can use the MyBookie prop builder to give yourself the edge you need to secure the bag. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Again, that promo code is WARCHANT, mybookie.ag. Right now, they have Florida State a 3-point underdog to LSU, 51.5 the over-under. And I got off the smash before I could ask Jeff about this. But Jeff was saying earlier in the week, or maybe even earlier in the preseason, he was saying hammer the under. 51.5. I don't know. I think they're going to go over, Corey.
Okay, all right. That'd be cool. Maybe the Noles will score that by themselves.
We'll see. MyBookie.ag. Use that promo code WARCHANT. All right, let's talk about the defense now. Maybe this starts the second half of the podcast where maybe things weren't as rosy as we had hoped. But again, I don't know how many more times we're going to have to say it, but again, it was Duquesne. I'm sure if anybody, the defense was probably more so trying to hide things and play a much more base, simplistic, vanilla style of football than anything else on that field on Saturday. So Jared Verse gets a sack. Our guy Robert Cooper into Coop, 7:30, his show tonight. Join us. Graded out second highest of the team defensively. Ira's 3-2-1 pointed out the fact that he did see a couple people chirping on the boards about maybe the run defense wasn't as good as we had expected or hoped for it to be. But I guess that's the advantage of this first game, right? I think maybe that should be the underscored thing, that whatever we're seeing that we didn't enjoy from this first game, which we'll talk more about, Tate Rodemaker, special teams, maybe run defense is what your guys are hung up on, or maybe not getting to the quarterback. Like, this was the one game, though, to kind of figure some of this stuff out, right? Figure out your fits, figure out what works where. I'm not going to let my mind wander to what if the defense isn't as good as we think they're going to be. They would have shut out the team if the quarterback didn't throw an interception. So I think the defense is exactly where I kind of thought they would be. Anything change your mind up or down on the defense, Corey?
No, they looked kind of, like you said, I think they looked the way they were supposed to look. I thought it was a really hard game to judge the pass rush because that kid was getting rid of the ball very, very quickly. There was a lot of one-step, three-step drops. There were like two times where he held the ball, and one of the times he was sacked. And the other time I thought Burse and McClendon got pretty good pressure on him. They did drop, one of his receivers did drop a pass in the middle of the field on maybe the first or second drive, which would have probably been their biggest play of the game offensively. But yeah, man, I thought the defense was solid. I mean, I don't know what else you'd want. They held them to less than 200 yards. I also think it was almost like Duquesne didn't want to show anything. Like, they know what this game was, and they're like, we got a conference to win. We're trying to maybe we can make the playoffs. Like, we can't. We're just going to run. We're gonna do simple passes and simple runs and punt and get out of here. That seemed to be the MO for that coaching staff. So it was hard to really gauge really anything. I mean, I thought you saw some flashes from Jared Verse. He had two tackles for loss. Derek McClendon, I thought, had some nice moments. I think Jamie Robinson had a couple PBUs, one really nice play, and Bethune had a couple flash moments. But overall, they were playing so many guys. Nobody was going to have like an incredible standout game.
32 guys defensively graded out on PFF.
Yeah, and one of them wasn't Amarian Cooper, who Mike Norvell pretended. I shouldn't have said that. That was a dumb word because I don't think he's pretending. He predicted, that's what I was trying to say, I think, that Cooper would be out at the beginning of this week, they hope, and will be ready to go for LSU. He'll be out there at practice and everything. Seems like maybe that was precautionary more than anything else. But yeah, he should be ready to go for LSU. I thought Jarian Jones, man, I was like, I don't get why you want to hit a dude out of bounds like that. I don't get it. You've been playing too much football, man.
He's been waiting to hit somebody else besides his own teammates.
Come on, man.
Was it that egregious? The replay.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
Norvell,
kid stopped running. The kid was standing on the sideline.
Okay. I mean, Norvell lit into him. I mean, on the TV copy, I could see that clearly. I mean, Norvell.
Like, if Azaria Thomas does it, Norvell might be a little more like hands-on, like, AZ, come on now, like maybe more a coaching moment, trying to. But we've seen enough of Seven doing it. Like, cut it out, man. Stop doing this. Stop being this guy. Stop getting 15-yard penalties. And literally the first completion of the season, he goes and lights a kid up who's standing on the sideline, who'd already slowed down, and he was either out of bounds or you could tell he was going out of bounds, and he just lights him up. And, of course, they're going to call that every time. So anyway, but other than that, I thought the defense did, perfectly fine. Didn't have a turnover. I think it stopped their streak of takeaways, which I think they finished the year last year with 8 games in a row with at least one takeaway, which was the longest streak in the country. So they didn't get a takeaway. Only really came close to one, I think. Bethune made a nice break on a horrible throw by that kid. Yeah. But that was the only real close one they had, I thought, to an interception. But yeah, it was hard to tell much because that kid would not stand in the pocket. They were not going to let him get hit. He was getting rid of the ball quick. They were not going to let the pass rush affect him. It's just really simple, quick throws and then punt. And they just kept punting. And, that's another issue.
What do we think? What is the policy on Norvell admitting a player's injured? Like, can we then retroactively talk about things we had seen about
No.
We can't?
I don't think so.
Well, all right, so the fact that we thought that maybe Omarion Cooper tapered off a little bit towards the end of camp, and then the fact that he doesn't play on Saturday, but they think he'll be all right, I mean, is that kind of like a good sign? Like maybe that explains what we saw in camp, or does that just make us think, oh, man, we're going to a season with our number one cornerback already dealing with a lingering injury?
Oh, no. I saw what happened, and it happened last week.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
All right.
No, so it wasn't something. I mean, maybe there was some other things going on in the week prior, but I saw the actual thing that happened. So,
you didn't even, wait. Yeah. Thanks for
Sorry,
telling
buddy.
me.
I didn't. I thought I did tell you that day. So, but yeah, look, I don't think Norvell will sometimes say we're going to get him back very soon, and okay, what does that mean? 6 weeks, a year from now.
Yeah.
He doesn't say we expect him to
Monday.
be back at the.
He said Monday, I think. I think he specifically said like a day.
I can't remember the term he said either. It wasn't like in
full
the swing
force.
of thing,
Full
force or something. Yeah. On Monday, so they clearly expect him to be part of and they're going to need him, man, because I'm gonna go ahead and predict that the LSU wide receivers are going to be a little tougher to defend than the Duquesne receivers were.
All right. All right. Let's get to some of the stuff that obviously needs to be fixed and polished up before this LSU game. I don't know how much of it will. I guess the good thing is that he's not the starting quarterback.
Right.
But Tate Rodemaker's performance on Saturday just kind of a little bit more of what everybody's seen. You folks haven't seen what's happened at practice. Not that we're high and mighty because we have the ability to do that, but we just try to share and be as honest as we possibly can when we talk about what we see at practice. And I never thought spring, I didn't see what Corey had kind of maybe seen a little bit positively out of Tate when it came to spring. But, man, he legitimately in those first 2 weeks of camp looked really good to me, and not really good as relatively speaking to where he had been. I was like, that's a serviceable backup quarterback at a Power 5 level. And we talked about at worst with Tate Rodemaker, what we thought was Florida State had raised its floor for the short term here in 2022. Whereas if Jordan misses a game, if it's BC, if it's maybe Wake Forest without a Sam Hartman, if it's Georgia Tech, you're like, okay, Florida State doesn't have to do anything crazy to patchwork a W against those teams. Like Tate, if Jordan can't play in those games against those opponents, Tate would be more than enough to get you a win. And then the whole idea of Jordan Travis's health wasn't even entering my mind anymore, Corey. I'll be honest with you. No point in the last 3 weeks was like, man, we just got to hope Jordan can be healthy the entire year. I don't want to lose him at any point, but it was like we have an insurance policy that's good enough to kind of cover most of the value that we have. And then you go see him again. I think he's thrown like 5. He's played in 6 games. That might have been his 4th interception in 36 pass attempts. I don't know. At some point, it's not give him time, let him grow and develop. It's just maybe this is just a little faster. Maybe it's just a little bit too big for the young man. And that's the biggest bummer of this all, that the creeping doom, doubt in your head about just, man, Jordan cannot get hurt. That is now kind of crept back, I think, to the forefront of most people's minds, at least mine for sure.
Yeah, it was tough to see, man, because again, he'll make some mistakes
pick too, Corey. A bad pick, not a contested 50-50 ball, and it gets tipped, and just a bad, inaccurate throw.
Well, in that one, honestly, weirdly, that one didn't bother me as much as the throw he had later on in the middle of the field that was almost intercepted, because the interception he threw was on 4th and 6. It was a 4th down throw, so you're thinking, okay, I got to get rid of that. I can't take a sack. I got to throw it. It's 4th down anyway. Here goes nothing. And it was a horrible throw. It was a foot behind them, and it led to their touchdown. But the decision wasn't horrific because it was 4th down. The accuracy in the throw was not good, but the decision itself, what he did the next time, where he was hesitant, he looked, he got a little bit of happy feet, I thought, and then he was laid across the middle, and it was almost picked as well. That was really concerning because that's just not what we see. We don't see that in practice, and he's going up against a better defense. So then you start to think, and I'm not trying to kill the kid, but you start to think, okay, when the lights are on, it's not going to get done. He can't make those same kind of. He doesn't see it when the lights are on. He doesn't throw with that same confidence when it matters. But when there's 50 people watching on a Tuesday practice, he can light up that defense, which is worlds better than the one he was facing from Duquesne. But when he gets into a game inside Doak Campbell Stadium, all of a sudden he kind of melts down a little bit, and that's what you worry about, because confidence in sports, well, confidence really in everything, confidence in everything in life is so important. But it's so important in sports. And that kid, I know you guys don't believe in him. And you guys think we've been lying to you for the last year, but he might not believe in himself now. He might be the kid that's questioning, well, why do I look like, what happened on that throw? Why was that throw so bad? Why did I not see that first read? Why am I scrambling out of bounds for a run? It's looking at the rush and then rolling to the left and not making plays and then almost throwing another interception. Is he questioning himself? Because if he is, he's done. If he's saying to himself, well, maybe I'm just not one of those guys that plays well in games, I'm a practice player, he's done. He can't play at this level then. So you hope that hasn't happened. You certainly hope he doesn't get on Twitter or listen to this show, but you hope that that's not happening, because they will need him at some point. And they can't have that Tate Rodemaker out there. That looked like a guy, he looked not at all different at all.
I know. So why
from the guy from 2020
he's going to then? What point? I don't want to say he's a lost cause, but again, it's Duquesne.
One throw. Could it just be as much as that's what you wanted to see in this game?
I mean, two bad.
No. I'm not saying one bad throw. I'm saying, what if he made one great throw in a game?
And maybe that sparks it.
Maybe that's all it takes to click, man. Because he hasn't done it yet that I can remember. I don't remember any great throws Tate Rodemaker's made. I remember a lot of bad ones. 2 interceptions, 3 interceptions against FCS teams in his career, out of 15 attempts. So again, the problem for fans is that he looks like the exact same guy did in 2020 to them. And a limited sample size, I get it. It's 6 attempts. But when you're the backup quarterback, you don't get a lot of attempts. So you need to make the most of it. And I would have I know what they were trying to do. I guess maybe he was a little worried that they weren't going to blow him out. I don't know. I would have made Tate Rodemaker hit a big play down the field. I would have kept dialing him up until either they're back in the game because it's 33-21, or he hits a couple of big throws and at least feels good about himself after the game and has something to build on. Because right now he didn't have anything to build on. And when is he going to get to play again? That's not a pressure situation. And will he be able to? If he kind of shrank in the moment against Duquesne, how does it portend to him, playing well against LSU or Boston College or any of these other teams on the schedule?
How much of a lead would Florida State have to have against LSU with 5 minutes left in the third quarter for you to think they could still hold on if Jordan Travis got knocked out of the game?
20. I think they'd still run a little bit, but I also think Norvell hopefully is smart enough to dial up some safe passes off the run because they're going to be crashing in against the run if Tate Rodemaker's in the game. And they're not sticking with the quarterback on the zone read. They are flying at the running back because they know Tate's not going to pull it and run. So I think if you have a couple of plays off that and you can hit like a tight end, like on a drag route wide open, get him a 25-yard pass completion, I think you could hold a 20-point lead. Plus, hopefully, your defense is shutting them out anyway, so it wouldn't matter. Just run the ball 3 times and punt like Willie could have done against Miami in 18, and Willie would probably he would have at least been the coach for the rest of 19.
All right, well, let's keep it on some stuff that we weren't all that excited about seeing. And again, this is the good and the bad of Duquesne, and that this kick game, I don't know. I'll believe John Papuch that they really are close, and we don't get to see it on the TV film about there's one guy that missed his block and that ruined everything, or you went just a little bit too much of a tack to the left and missed something that you could have really exploited. But the fact, again, that, I don't know how many natural guys they have returning kicks. I'm talking about just kick returns coming off a change of possession after a score. But Sam McCall didn't really impress me with sort of his awareness or his feel back there. That continues to kind of be an issue. I don't really I remember, I was doing the watch-through game with Dominic Robinson, so when punts were coming up, it was kind of a time for me to get ads in place, so I wasn't paying all that much attention. But I just noticed that Micah kept catching the punts. I didn't have any qualms with the way the punt return game was handled, but I saw a couple of your tweets, Corey, and then I wasn't able to really talk to you all that much in the press box when I got to the stadium in the second half. What was something lacking in the punt return game? Do you think there should have been opportunities for Micah to maybe catch and run on some of those opportunities?
Well, I mean, yes. Well, one of them bounced and hit I think Kevin Noles in the leg, and Kevin Noles had to go recover it. I mean, again, I don't know what can be done. Like the kid was kicking 25-yard line drives, so those are tough to field. I understand, but man, what we were told was that this guy was different, and he said he's different. He wants to do this. And he let 4 balls hit the ground. That just can't happen, man. Now they're going to face better punters. So I think that's the next way to gauge this, is because it really is when you're playing a team that has a guy averaging 30 yards a punt, most of those are going to bounce. It's just hard unless you stand 25 yards from the line of scrimmage and risk him punting it over your head for 60, which I was all for Pittman doing at one point. But there are going to be some balls that hit the ground. But if you know that anyway, why is Kevin Noles near a ball hitting the ground, blocking with his back to it? Like, it wasn't the first punt, and they weren't facing Ray Guy. Like, they knew this kid couldn't punt real well, so why does that happen? And again, what bothers me about it, and same thing with the Sam McCall kick returns, is they work so much at it. They practice 45 minutes a day on it. And so it still doesn't look any better. Now, again, such a small sample size. It's one game. I get it. And
if you practice ballroom dancing as much as they practice special teams, wouldn't you be on Dancing with the Stars by now? Wouldn't you have left us? I'm just trying
probably.
To think of any endeavor out
there.
I
don't think I qualify as a star. You're saying I'd be one of the dancers hosting the stars.
Yeah.
I'd have Mary Hart or whatever her name was for Entertainment Tonight. Somebody like that. I was trying to think of like a B list from 30 years ago.
Oh, man. I'm more of a Nancy O'Dell guy, but carry on.
Okay. Nice.
So much time they spend on this, everybody. It's all of us, like, we deserve to see some returns on this. Trust us. Yeah. Maybe us even more in the media for having to sit there and watch them practice this over and over again.
But I do think, like, LSU's punter is not going to be punting them like that. And so let's see what Micah looks like the rest of the season, really, because that'll be the worst punter they face. But you can't. He let the ball bounce 4 times. And, one is okay, I guess. You can't get to all of them, but you can't let it bounce 4 times. And one of them, the only time that it bounced backwards is when it hit his teammate. And he's not screaming loud enough for him to get out of the way. So whatever has to happen, make it happen. But, yeah, the kickoff returns, they only got 2 chances, which was good. I have a sneaking suspicion they're going to get more chances Sunday. Yeah, there was nothing close to anything breaking as far as I could tell. It just looked like it did last year. But on the positive side, Fitzgerald made all his kicks, which good for you. I mean, I know there were short chip shots, but again, that's good to give him confidence. And then his kickoffs were great. His kickoffs, I think every one was caught in between like the 5 and the end zone in the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really, really well done.
They kept trying to bring it out. It was
it was nuts. Finally, I think they decided to like just fair catch one, but he really did a good job of pinning those things right in the coffin corner there. I thought he was great on kickoffs, and if he can continue to do that, like, yeah, man, if you can make them catch the ball in the corner and come out, the chance of them busting one are 1 in 50. So the only risk you run is kicking it out of bounds or trying to kick it in the corner, but you kick it to the 5 right down the middle of the field. Then you're in trouble. But I thought he was really good on Saturday night. So that was a positive. The return game was still, dreadful.
Yeah. Duquesne punted it 8 times. Florida State had their credit with 2 returns, one of them that being the one that grazed off Kevin Noles counted as a return. So, and then Sam McCall, 2 returns for 26 yards total. That's a 13-yard average. Duquesne averaged 14 yards on their kick returns. And then Alex Mastromano only punted once, 52-yarder inside the 20. So
yeah, they get down. It was right. It was down right by me. I was on the field. I think it was down to like the 9 or 5. It was a good. Yeah, it was a good kick. It was good. Get him some rep too. I was wondering that too, and I looked out when they came out on the field because they were up 47-7. But so normally you'd put in like your backup punt unit. But it was the first punt of the season.
Yeah, I saw I'm like, what's Tatum Bethune doing out there on punt? Yeah. But that makes sense now, Corey. Thanks for bringing that up.
They wanted to get I was asking Iris, like, do you run it? He's like, do you run out your starters? Because you need some work, and this is the first chance. And he's like, well, it's a good question, and Bethune's out there, so I guess they did. So that if you're wondering why Tatum Bethune would be on the field, they want to get their punt coverage team a rep, at least one rep. So they got their chance there. And yeah, you wouldn't, maybe you're saying, okay, Tatum Bethune knows how to run forward, like are being up. You don't necessarily need him on that play. You don't want to risk it, but you do want to get those guys at least some game action. And they got that one punt, and it worked out. They downed it at the 5-yard line or 6-yard line.
The clutch shot, the biggest hits. It's time for the Zaxby's Indescribably Good
Player of the Week.
You heard the man, everybody. It's time for the Zaxby's Indescribably Good Player of the Week. Thanks to our friends at the Tallahassee Zaxby's, 17-year Golden Chief, for setting everything up for Warchant Game Day and the pregame show, as well as the watch-through with Dominic Robinson. We'll be doing that again this Sunday, Tom Lang and I, and D-Rob. Let's get to it then. I'm going to go with Trey Benson. 11 carries, 11 for 105 and a touchdown, long of 43, average over 9 yards a carry, 9.5 yards per carry out of Trey Benson. And again, man, one time, okay, it's Duquesne, but man, every time he touched the ball, it felt like he was breaking multiple tackles, and these weren't arm tackles. These weren't 270-pound Division I NFL first-round draft picks either, but these were legitimate-sized college football players that just could not hang on to Trey Benson, and the way he ran was very impressive to me, and hopefully he gets a little more confidence, sees things a little bit quicker and trusts it and goes right for it, because I think maybe Ira Schoffel's onto something. Maybe we should all be all in on Trey Benson. He's my pick for the Zaxby Indescribably Good Player of the Week, Corey.
I'm going to go with the other Trey. A little Trey vu, as we like to say around here. You like that, right? That's a good it's not my nickname. Somebody on Seminole Headlines suggested it, but I thought it was awesome. Like, the Duquesne defense has experienced a case of Trey vu.
Yeah, that's right. I got it.
But anyway, I'm going to go with Trayshawn Ward. I thought he set the tone early. I thought he looked great. That spin move he had by the sideline was sick. That was just a ridiculous move. And again, you kind of forget about him because of the other two guys, especially Trey Benson. But I thought Trayshawn Ward ran hard, was really good. He's been good all camp. He's had a good career. If he can stay healthy, maybe they're going to have 3,000-yard rushers, Aslan, and we'll get to do a lot of Zaxby's Indescribably Good players with the running back crew. But I thought Trayshawn was great. We had to go with another running back because they were all so good. Sorry, Lawrence. Next time, buddy. You're going to get it in New Orleans. But Trayshawn Ward was my Indescribably Good Player of the Week.
There we go. The backs. Benson, Trayshawn, Trey-Ja-Vu, everybody. Zaxby's Indescribably Good. Check them out. Should have had this available on hand when I was trying to make my point, Corey. But Trey Benson, 105 yards rushing, 83 of them after contact.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it was impressive, man. I thought he was really good. I think, again, I guess the point I was trying to make is you can't live and die by breaking tackles. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You've got to hit a hole a little harder. You've got to see it a little quicker. You've got to use your speed a little sooner. all that stuff that just comes with getting a lot of reps, man. Like, again, this kid hasn't played in a competitive football game legitimately in 3 years. He had 22 yards rushing in his college career, so this was all new for him. And it was good for him to get his feet wet in a game like that and to get confidence. And he certainly showcased the brute force that he can run with. But you can't make a living doing that. Like, LSU safeties aren't going to bounce off you maybe as much as Duquesne safeties do. So, and linebackers as well. So, you maybe hit a hole a little quicker, see it a little quicker. But that's just nitpicking. I thought he looked really good.
Yeah, again, first game back in a long time, week 0. That's kind of, you hope some of that stuff, again, gets worked out. I think that's some of the stuff, I don't know, Tate changing, going on a fresh, page and anything like that is really going to be able to happen. But I think a guy like Trayshawn, some of that stuff can get, sorry, not Trayshawn, but Trey Benson, rather, some of that stuff can be cleaned up from a week 0 game to week 1. You've played, it's been a while. Now you kind of remember you're back in the saddle on those things. So hoping for the best when they take on LSU Sunday. Again, I don't know how much we can take away from this game. I did mean to ask that to Jared Verse. I mean, I did want to ask him what he learned, but that was the second part of my question, which I forgot, and I just mumbled something at the end of my question to him. But I do wonder: is there anything that you think differently? Let's focus on the positive, Corey, because again, for me, if I have to think anything differently, I think the floor, unfortunately, has possibly been lowered, and if Jordan Travis were to miss games, because it's Tate Rodemaker. Just for some reason, it's just not clicking in my head right now. I don't feel all that confident in him. But was there anything that we do know? Because we're going to find out everything Sunday against LSU, which is it's the good thing, everybody. I know we want to know right now, this instant, but we don't have to wait that much longer to really figure out where this team is going to go and what they're capable of doing. But is there anything that you think you took away from what you saw Saturday that's going to probably show up on Sunday and going forward for the rest of the year? If it's even something as maybe, insignificant as they will be a heavily run-reliant team. Anything that stands out to you, Corey?
Honestly, not really. I think nothing was a surprise. Nothing. Maybe I could say the running backs. Like, we know the running backs are going to be good, but I feel like we knew that anyway. It's good that they put it out there. Like, it's on film now. They've actually done it in a game with people watching. But other than that, no. I just think they did what they had to do in this game from the standpoint of they got through it. They won comfortably. They won easily. They dominated. But everything will be told to us really in these next 2 games. That's what will. Well, I say that though. What did we learn from the Notre Dame game last year? Nothing. That occurred to me on Sunday. Huh. Like that game, you thought, man, this team is going to fight. This is a whole different Florida State group. They're going to take what they did in this season opener, and they're going to apply it for the rest of the season. Watch out, Jack State. You got no chance. This is going to be an angry football team. None of it mattered. That game was just a game within itself. It just was a game. It didn't portend to anything. Yeah. And I think so maybe LSU and Louisville won't either. Like, I think that, we will see what a ceiling might be or what a floor might be after these next 2 games. But it doesn't mean that in November you can't get hot and win out. It just doesn't. We saw what it was last year. So I do think the running backs, I'm a believer in them. I'm iffy on the offensive line because the injuries are starting to stack up, man. And they weren't going to be a great offensive line anyway. But, man, that depth was fun, and it was something they hadn't had in a while. And here we are 1 game into a season, and all of a sudden you're maybe on your 4th-string center. That's rough. That's not great. And then, your quarterback, you're really the 2nd-string quarterback's iffy. But again, nobody's really fired up when their 2nd-string quarterback plays. I
know, but you don't want to feel dread, and I think that's
correct.
That's kind of
yeah. I mean, people are going to be like, "Oh, great," and they might have done that anyway. Like, I don't know that Tate, even if he'd have gone 6 for 6 for 100 yards. People would have been like, "Oh man, okay, Tate, I like what I see."
But they would be like, I listen to Jeff, I listen to Ira, I listen to Corey. I see it now, so yeah. I'm sure people would feel much better about it if they would have seen a 5 of 6 for 108 performance or something like that, But no, and he didn't. He was 2 of 6 for like 15 yards and a pick, and almost another pick, and almost a sack, and so yeah. But that to me is coming out of the game is where you feel the most unease. Is quarterback position now and offensive line because of injuries. And you got to get Johnny Wilson back. I don't even know, like, if you're Mike Norvell and he's a little gimpy on Saturday, you need Johnny Wilson for the next 10 games, man. I know you don't want to punt on LSU.
You just don't. That is a big body that they do not have an answer for because nobody does. But you've got to have him healthy for Louisville, and you've got to have him healthy for ACC games. So that will be part of the calculus in making a decision about Johnny Wilson. If he's gimpy, if he's 55%, don't have him out there aggravating it where it's something that bothers him for the rest of the year. You need a healthy Johnny Wilson that can jump in his full speed. So even if it means sitting him a week, it doesn't mean you're going to lose. But it hurts you or only have him play in the red zone, man. Like literally only bring him out when you got the ball at the 10 or something like that. And so he plays 8 snaps a game or 10 snaps a game as opposed to 50. But you've got to make sure he's good for you for the long term.
They don't need him in the red zone, Corey. I think they have the longest active red zone streak in the nation, man. They don't even need
That's
Johnny
right.
in the
All they
red
do
zone.
is score in the red zone.
All they do.
All they do is score in the red zone. But no, I thought the running backs were fine. The running backs were good, sorry. Everything else was fine. Not a ton learned. I do like the mindset. I know people roll their eyes, but to come out there and take care of business and be up early and dominate a team, that's good to see. It's kind of a carryover from last year. So keep those positive vibes going. But yeah, it's a whole different sport on Sunday night in New Orleans than it was Saturday in Doak. So we should have learned our lesson from last year when Florida State we thought played great and played over their heads against Notre Dame, and that translated into nothing at all for the next month. So 1 week at a time, Aslan. That's how I like to take it. By the way, I almost gave myself the Zaxby's indescribably good performance of the week.
Oh yeah, do tell.
Because man, we do this thing at Corner Pocket, right? Friday nights before the game. A lot of people, including our favorite guy Ralph, is in town at Corner Pocket.
Yeah.
Wearing an
He's
Aloha.
going to be in New Orleans. He's going to be in New Orleans, right? He's here for like a week, I think. No.
Yeah. He'll be he's in Tallahassee for this week until he leaves. But he told me that he was crushed that you didn't show up because he was also at the pregame show.
I saw him there. I shook his hand.
Oh well, there you go. Well, I saw him before. Okay, well, so you did meet some of the fans.
Yeah.
Because literally, buddy, I had a bunch of people.
John from Omaha was at the pregame show. Shout out to John from Omaha, Justin, Jeremy. I think Robbie J. He had like a 13 jersey on that made up from Tampa. Ed, Brett, the Lemmicks, Courtney, they were all there. Yeah, I saw several people.
You saw them they must have gotten there after I left because I was there from about 2 to 3:15.
Yeah.
Saw the new mayor, D.C. Reeves. Saw my friend from Wyoming, and I'm horrible at names.
Troy, yes, good. Troy
God.
from Wyoming. Saw him too. Yeah.
So at Corner Pocket, I must have had 15 or 20 people come up to me and say they were fans of the show, like legitimately, like fans of our show. You're not headlines, but you and I show. Yeah. And where's Aslan? And I'm like, I think he's coming. He said he's going to come. He might be a little late. Maybe he didn't want to come during the show, but he said he was going to hang out, and he didn't. So there I am. I'm glad handing people for an hour and a half after the show like I'm a politician. But I like meeting the people, and everybody was very, very kind, and I try to be kind to them when if people come out to see us, I want to be nice, and I want to take some time to say hello and thank you for listening.
You're always nice. You make it sound like you have to try
to
be nice.
Right. But I want to give them I don't want to just be like, all right, thanks, and then leave. I want to give them not a memory like they're meeting Joe Namath, but let me tell you about the time I met Corey Clark at Corner Pocket. Can you believe it? But I want to have a real conversation with them and not just say, hey. So I'm doing that for an hour and a half. You're not there. Ira's not there. Jeff is out on the deck.
I was working. If you guys watched the pregame show for the Zaxby's Warchant game day, that video opened. Took quite some time to do. I had to work on that, get it ready for Saturday. So I was not. I did want to come see everybody. I just couldn't make it out there. But New Orleans, I will be there every day, everywhere. Come hang out.
You're going to be there every day, everywhere. That's nice. You just tell people where you're going to be, man. When you get there, just drop a pin.
Yeah.
Just drop a pin somewhere. So, yeah, and then Jeff was out on the deck the whole time talking to the people at Metronet because his cable had been cut. And he couldn't get them out there, which I think we might have been part of the deal. If you watch Sunday Smash and are listening to this.
It all makes sense now.
It's all starting to make sense because they couldn't come out till Monday. So he went the first – it wasn't really the first weekend of college football, but there was college football. He went the first weekend without having wireless or cable at his house because of something being cut. But anyway, so he was out there for an hour. So I was the face of Warchant for an hour and a half, and I did my best. And then I'm just telling you, man, people are just really nice about our show and how much they listen to it and how much it means to them like it's a family member,
or part
but just
of their routine, though.
Yeah, they listen to us on the way to school or on the way to work. So we just really, really appreciate it, and everybody was very kind to the both of us.
Yeah. And shout out to my buddy House. He subscribes and listens to the podcast, and he was at Indigo, but I saw him leave on his way out, and I never shout him out on the podcast, and I should probably give him a shout out. But yeah, winding things down. Sadly, I mean, you're all right. It just, I don't know really how much we can take away from the game. I think at the least, though, in all honesty, just a good kind of, good feeling for Florida State fans, right? Just to get a win, season opener. Again, not a lot of juice behind it, but just shout out to the students for staying there in that deluge and being there supporting the team the entire time. So that was a good thing. But to your
call,
point about
man. The students were great. The students filled that place up. There was like 2 rows of student section available. Everybody else, I mean, now of course they left at halftime, but you don't make it easy when you kick off a game.
Yeah, well, everybody left at halftime too.
But it's almost. I was really impressed, man. The students the last few years, in my opinion, have done a bang-up job, man, in basketball and football. Much better than the regular fans about showing up and being loud and being into the game, even though the team they cheer for, especially on the football field, hasn't been great. They really do show up and make a difference. And I was stunned by the amount of students that I knew it was a sellout, but I'm like, okay, it's rainy. Of course, they delayed it an hour and a half because who saw that coming? A lightning delay in August in Tallahassee at 5 p.m. So, but for them to stay there and show out and show up and stay at least until halftime, until it wasn't competitive anymore, man, I was impressed by that, man. Shout out to the students. They, I hope a few of them get to go to New Orleans. But stay out of trouble, kids.
Yeah. Unless you're hanging out with me, we're gonna rip it up. All of us.
Well, not with the students, though, right? We're aiming a little higher, right?
Well, I mean, I'm not the 18-year-olds, but if you're of age and you're drinking in New Orleans, I might, Cousin Aslan might get you a pop. I'm out there.
Oh,
for
okay.
It. I'm out there.
I thought you were talking more about the opposite sex.
Oh, no. Come on,
okay.
I'm 40 now. I can't do it anymore.
You know the rule? Do you do the 7-year rule?
I don't. I would have no guilt or any sort of shame if I found a 24-year-old young woman who was consensually into me as well. I would not feel bad about it at all. But yeah, I think the math. Whatever was said in some movie, apparently now 27 is my floor.
27 is supposed to be your floor. Yeah.
So
you're right. I mean, what's 24?
Frontal
so
lobes
that means
not
mine.
Developed, so maybe I shouldn't do it.
I don't even want to know what mine is.
Well, last thing, just honestly though, LSU's got everybody new, right? I mean, whole new coaching staff other than their offensive line coach, I think, because he was there last year and he was their interim coach. I mean, maybe the fact that Florida State did have to, we talked about the value of a week 0 game in terms of getting out the communication issues, working out the kinks, but maybe just the fact that, this team has now at least gone through a game together. They've, not that they had to battle through adversity or anything, but they've been together for a game and they've won one. And, LSU has not done that. They're breaking in a new quarterback. Their offensive line looks nothing like what they had last year. They're going to be, I think, starting a true freshman at one of their tackle positions. Jared Verse knew that Saturday night walking off the field, talking to us on the podium. Again, new coaching staff. Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly go way back, but it's been a few years since they've worked a game together. That defensive coordinator and Brian Kelly, I don't think they've ever worked together. So at the least, even if this wasn't a grand statement for Florida State, it was a game for them to go out and perform. And they're going into more or less LSU's backyard. And they've got question marks themselves. And at least Florida State's done this. They've been there. They've done that. They've won a game. So maybe that gives just enough in a game that's going to be pretty evenly matched to hopefully pull something out, man. Because I know the Louisville game looms even larger because if you beat LSU and you lose to Louisville, we're going to be like, ugh. And if they lose LSU and we beat Louisville, we feel much better probably 2-1 after Louisville with a win over Louisville than we would losing to them, and then the LSU win would wash some of it away. So we'll find out soon enough. Any thoughts, last thing as we go here about LSU, maybe just everybody breaking in a new staff, or do you think that just talent overcomes any kind of lack of chemistry and coaching sort of, togetherness, cohesiveness?
No, I mean, look, man, Brian Kelly's a good coach. That's undisputable. That's probably a word, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Indisputable. Is it in or un? Undisputed, yeah. But it is hard, man. It's his first game. I bet if you went through history of college football and new coaches' first games, the probably percentage of them being really good is very low. There's struggles. It's first game, for new quarterback, new system. There will be struggles. They do have talent, though. They are probably more talented than you. But yes, you not only do you have a game under your belt, you have 3 years. This is your third year under your belt. You have 2 years under your belt and a game. Meanwhile, this guy's doing it fresh with no experience, with any of these guys having any experience with this. So you do like it from that standpoint. And, LSU lost a lot of guys off last year's team. A lot, including, I didn't realize this, but their best defensive back transferred to Alabama.
Oh, yeah, Eli Ricks.
Yeah, he's going to be like a first-round pick, and he transferred to Alabama. So I know Florida State fans probably are, you think you've lost some talent, you're not as talented as you need to be. Well, imagine being an LSU fan, and you had like 8 guys drafted off last year's team, and your best player, your starting quarterback left to go be the backup at A&M. It turns out.
Well, I think he's
Max.
He's a Manchurian candidate. Thanks, Max. Max left to help us out and not let LSU be strong. So he stepped away. So thanks, Max.
So just think of the questions that LSU has. Florida State still has so many questions left to answer. Duquesne is like a road. It's like a pop quiz. It wasn't a test. It certainly wasn't a final exam or a midterm. It was a pop quiz that doesn't count if you don't do well. But that's a horrible analogy. Strike that, Aslan. Go ahead and rip that away.
I like the pop quiz. Yeah, I mean,
but if it doesn't count if you don't do well, because they failed their pop quiz against Jacksonville State last year. It seemed to count. I feel like I still remember that. That still counted, like it went in the grade book, is what I'm saying. But with LSU and Florida State, I think LSU has more question marks. They do. You can't not. Jane Daniels, we don't know what kind of quarterback he is going to be in that system. I think he's a decent college quarterback, but you should have an advantage at quarterback. You should have an advantage coaching because you have more experience. These are your guys. You brought them in, and you played a game, and some of these guys have been with you for 2 years. Meanwhile, Brian Kelly's been coaching them for 2 months. So all this should be, even if LSU is a little more talented than you, and I think they are, I think the NFL draft will probably prove that out over the next couple of years. They're more talented than you, but that can be, that can be counterbalanced by you having experience and cohesion. And so, yeah, man, I'm certainly not going to be surprised if Florida State wins this game. That's why it's a 3-point spread.
That's right. Go to my bookie, place your bets. Just saw this pop up on my timeline. Has nothing to do with Florida State, but just thought it interesting. University of Nebraska at Lincoln has lost 49 football games since 2015. Tom Osborne lost 49 times over a span of 24 years. So
yeah, I think Nebraska's not as good as they used to be, is what I take from that.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. And how about my man? What is he? He's 5-21 in one-score games.
I didn't even know he had 5. I thought he was like over in type.
Yeah. How do we even get the 5? But imagine if he was just average, like in one-score games. You know what I mean?
He'd have
I don't know what
extension. Yeah.
What would that be? 13-13, or let's say he was just a little bit better than average. So in those 26 games, he was 15-11 instead of 5-21. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm doing that right?
Yeah.
That's 10 extra wins over what, a 3-year stretch, 4-year stretch. So that takes you from 5 wins to 8 wins, 7 wins to 9 wins. That's how thin the margin of error is. And it's funny, I was talking to a friend of mine Saturday night after the game, and he's like, man, I really believe in Mike Norvell. And he goes, I hope the administration believes in him. And I hope if he goes 6-6, but they believe in him enough, if they see the things around, that they can that they don't just punt and go start all over again. He goes, I just don't want to start all over again. Yeah. I believe in the direction that he's got this thing going. And I'm like, yeah, man, I think there are some people with you. But if you go 5-7 or 6-6 at Florida State, and you have a losing record after 3 years, a bad losing record, man, you can't blame them for wanting to go find lightning in a bottle. But yeah, that's the reality of college football, man. Scott Frost is done, right?
Not officially, but seems. I mean,
he's certainly on his last legs. It would appear. Maybe the next time he loses in the fourth quarter, he's done. And the problem with that is, man, he's so close to having a decent record. Yeah. It's just bounces here and there and bad decisions. He's not absolved of kicking an onside kick when he's up 11. He's not absolved from the ridiculous decisions he makes. But also, you're allowed to have some luck. And if he'd had a little bit of luck, maybe they love him in Lincoln right now or I don't even know who they want their next coach to be.
I mean, he's got to shudder it at that point. I mean, that was your swing. That was That's Southern. I mean, almost like Southern Cal going for Lincoln Riley. If he doesn't fix it, then where do you go from there? I wonder how our guy Anthony Grant did. I'll look that up and we'll talk about it.
He did. He ran for over 100 yards.
Really? Look at him. Look at that.
He had a nice day. Anthony Grant, former FSU back. He came in with Willie, left. Never really got on the field here much. And then went to a JUCO and then went to Nebraska and was their starting running back and I think he had 2 touchdowns too.
Look at that, man.
It's good to see. A kid from Buford, my neck of the woods up here in Georgia, man. Good for Anthony Grant.
It's going to be real funny because, we hammered poor Willie about his 18 and 19 recruiting classes, but it's like now, like if you want to sit here and do a story about who he recruited, like Trayshawn Ward and, Anthony Grant doing big things there, and Kentron Portier might be on the cusp. Maurice Smith.
I mean, you didn't exactly name Mount Rushmore of great college football. And I love Trayshawn Ward, but Trayshawn Ward was a walk-on, and the other 2 guys, that's a big, big incomplete.
He sold that kid to walk on here, right?
No, yeah, but then he didn't play him. So
we got Jordan Travis. Hey, Jordan Travis, he's going on.
Yeah, you got Jordan Travis and didn't play him either.
All right, we're done. I tried Willie. I tried to make up for all the 2 years of bad blood. All right, we're done, but not for the week. We'll have shows all week long. Jeff Cameron's show coming up 1 to 3. Tomorrow will be the headlines at the 1 to 3 slot. Probably have Tom on tomorrow as well. I don't know. Live show Wednesday, right? We're on Wednesday,
correct. Yeah.
Wednesday,
Yep.
Thursday on the bye week, and then Wednesday, Louisville week. And then we'll do Renegade Express probably Thursday for Friday. Because, I'm trying to get on the road earlier, buddy. I'm trying to get to New Orleans as soon as I can check into the hotel. I can't wait.
Well, so practice, we got practice on Thursday. They'll be over by we'll be out of there by noon.
No, I'm kidding. I'll be there by like 8 o'clock probably.
We get on the road right then. You lose an hour. Remember, you gain an hour because you're going into a different time zone. So it's like a 5.5 hour drive. We get there by 6 p.m., man.
Oh,
we're at the craps table by 7:30.
Can I hop in with you? You said we. Can I hop in with you guys?
Oh, no. It's me and Stephanie. We like to have our alone time in the car.
All right. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.